Welcome to the Converging Zone. We've got a great show today. I've got a great guest. She is the healthy grocery girl. Her name is Megan Roosevelt. Welcome to the show today, Megan Roosevelt.
Hello.
Healthy grocery girl. I got to meet you on LinkedIn and went on, saw some of your videos, and I said, okay, this girl has got something. And I'm so glad that we finally, connected over the summer, and we got to meet here today.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great. It's great having you. You are a registered dietitian. So what is a registered dietitian?
Well, registered dietitian or, nutritionist. People will often understand the word nutritionist or familiar with that word a little bit more. But is basically, a nationally recognized nutrition expert. So my job is to help educate people how to eat and be healthier.
Well, you've done radio, you've done TV, you're an author, you're doing all these things. We'll talk about some of those things in a minute. But, what I really enjoyed in some of the videos I saw was, number one, your passion. You're passionate about it. And you're fun. So you can actually help people have fun while they watch what they eat, while they shop. So tell us a little bit about some of the things you do to help people eat healthy and get healthy.
Absolutely. So one of the main things that I do is nutrition coaching, and that's one-on-one, meeting with people and really whatever their health goals are, whether they want to manage diabetes nutritionally, whether they want to lower cholesterol, whether they want to gain weight, whether they just want to learn more about nutrition and make healthier recipes for their family and shop healthier. Really whatever their nutrition goal is, we sit down and work together, and similar coaching, I work with them for however long it takes to kind of meet their goals. Other things that I do is I go to the store with people, and I find that that's the most effective, because often if you recommend something to someone, they go to the store and then you see them next time and they couldn't find it. So if I just go with them, I can show them where everything is. And then one thing that's kind of unique about my company is we do what's called a healthy kitchen makeover. Yeah. It's basically like a kitchen cleanse. So what I do is
a kitchen purge, a
kitchen cleanse. So I help people change their eating environments. So your environment is a big factor in your health and so many other things. So I may give people recommendations to eat certain foods, but if all the foods they shouldn't eat are still staring at them in their pantry, it's really hard to make change. So I go in and everything that's not good for them, from their medicine cabinets to their fridge, their freezer, their pantry. Just a lot of people have pantries and fridge and freezers in their garage. I go through all of that. We put it all on a big counter. A lot of times it spills over and it's all on the floor as well. And I go through everything with people. It is very much a little bit of an intensive service, because you have to be ready for that big change. But it's hours long with people. So we sit there and I really educate them on ingredients to avoid and why, and healthier alternatives. And from there, you really have a clean start. So then everything in your home is something healthy to reach for, and then it's building again. So it's rebuilding that really good foundation, and then adding good things back in, recipes, going to the store together, finding healthier alternatives. So that's one thing that really helps change people's eating environments.
Wow.
So those are just some of the services, that my business does.
So you can bring Megan to your home. She'll help you purge the things that aren't good for you, replace them with the things that are good for you. So she'll actually then, from your home, you can take her to the local grocery store and replenish all the things that you just purged.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I like that. Let me ask you this, because you talk about atmosphere, we talk about, the kitchen makeover. You've heard of this feng shui or whatever people do. So, and some people say that you go to a McDonald's restaurant, which I never go to McDonald's, so other people go there.
Yeah.
but they go there, and somebody says they actually paint certain colors in restaurants, which causes people to eat faster or more or something. When you go to the kitchen makeover, besides the nutritional stuff, which is what you focus on, are there elements in a kitchen that can lend to a more tranquil or some kind of better eating experience or nutritional experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Even the grocery stores put things on the shelf strategically to catch your eye. There's a lot of research and science that goes into grocery stores. They play certain tempo music at certain hours, and there's the things that are most popular and that they want you to buy are at eye level. the newer items, or maybe the not as profitable items, are higher or lower, and you're not maybe able to see those as quickly. So similar to people's pantry, if you have all of the snack items right at eye level in your pantry, that's the first thing you're going to see when you open up your pantry. And a lot of people do this, where you're deciding what to make for dinner, you open up the pantry, and you're kind of munching on some chips while you're kind of looking at what to do. So even strategically how you organize your pantry and your fridge and your freezer can help you eliminate some of those kind of impulse snacking habits.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of these guys, and I'm going to admit to all of you, not that it's probably not so obvious to all of you, but I'm weak. I just tell my wife, don't buy it because I'm weak. She's able to buy something that may not be that nutritious, but she would eat it in moderation. She might have one. I have a problem with just having one. They used to have that Lay's commercial, you can't eat just one.
Yeah.
They got that from me because I couldn't have just one or 10.
Yeah.
So what do you do? My wife, here's another secret. So my wife, years ago, she'd buy a bag of potato chips or whatever it was, and her office was downstairs, mine was upstairs, and I would take it in moderation. I'd take a handful, right? The problem was I kept going back for more handfuls.
Yeah.
And one day she just said, Rob, why don't you just get a big bowl, because that's pretty much what you ate. You ate the whole bag, which is a big bowl. But I went back thinking that somehow I'm just taking moderation. But I took multitudes of moderation, which doesn't work.
Yeah.
So what do you do with people that are weak? You just have to purge it completely, right?
Well, it's behavior change. I mean, really 3 cornerstones of getting healthier, or losing weight, if you were going to focus on weight loss, is nutrition, physical activity, and changing your behavior. Habits are really a lot of the reason why we eat what we eat and we do what we do. And so, every single person's different. And when I work with people, it's all custom. So you can't just say, well, this is what you need to do and just apply that to every single person. Some people, like your wife, are perfectly fine having some of those more, tempting items in the house and not eating them as much. And some people, they can't. So it's really becoming more intuitive and learning about yourself and what's true to me. And if I'm the type of person that if I buy a box of crackers, I'm going to sit down and eat them all, then don't buy the crackers.
Yeah.
And if you are the kind of person that's not a problem, then that's not a problem. So a lot of it's learning more about yourself, becoming more intuitive with what your eating patterns and things are like. And then, once you know that really helps change, once you change your thoughts, you change your actions.
Yeah. And most of those times, this is several years ago, I've gotten better at discipline and better at knowing that I just don't go back for more. You just have moderation. But it's interesting. I still at times just say, just don't buy this stuff, because then I don't have to worry about it. It's not there, then I'll grab whatever's there, apple or something else that's close by.
Yeah.
So what do you say to people that, let's talk about like sweets. Let's talk about chocolate. We talked about chocolate earlier before we started the show. What about chocolate? Is that bad? Is that something to be purged, or is there ways to have chocolate and enjoy it?
So here's the deal. Bottom line, it always comes down to ingredients. You can have kind of these titles as chocolate or pizza or tacos, and they kind of, just the names of foods can sometimes get a bad rap, but it really always comes down to the ingredients, because that's really what you're putting in your body. So if you eat a chocolate bar that's full of artificial chemicals and other things that really aren't nourishing to your body, that is something you want to stay away from. But if you're eating, an organic, pure, dark chocolate bar that really has nutritional benefits to it, then that's okay. And then it comes down to moderation. So really, no matter what you're grocery shopping for or what recipe you're making, you just always want to make sure that your ingredients are as pure and natural and clean as possible, because then you can, enjoy foods that you love, but you can also be taking care of your body at the same time.
So it's the ingredients that matter, not necessarily the label of what you call that.
Yes.
What about these things? We talk about gluten is a big word. Every time you gluten, it's got gluten-free, not gluten-free. Is some of that something to pay attention to, or has some of it gone over the edge on this whole gluten concern?
If you legitimately have celiac disease or wheat or gluten intolerance, then definitely it makes sense to avoid gluten foods. But because eating gluten-free has become really popular, that's good news for the food industry. There's a lot of people looking for gluten-free foods, so they want to supply gluten-free foods. And, there can be gluten-free pretzels or chips or ice cream or whatnot, and just because it's gluten-free doesn't mean it's healthier. You can have a gluten-free food that has just as many grams of sugar and fat and salt as a non-gluten-free item. So gluten-free doesn't necessarily mean healthier. And again, it comes down to being intuitive with your body. If you legitimately have celiac disease and you need to avoid gluten, then that makes sense. But, for a general healthy person, it may not be necessary to eat gluten-free.
What do you think the percentage of the population actually has a gluten or celiac problem?
I read a statistic that about 1 in 133 people are diagnosed yearly with celiac disease. So that's pretty common.
Yeah, but it almost seems like it's almost like what I've heard out there from common people, not people that know, that it's almost like everybody's got it, or everyone's got a gluten issue.
Yeah.
But that's not true, right?
Well, and often it can be what else is in the food,
Oh, yeah.
So if you're having whole wheat bread, what other ingredients are in that whole wheat bread? Often, making bread is really simple. It's flour, some yeast, and some sugar and water. That's basically it, 4 ingredients. If you go to the grocery store and look, just flip over any bread, a lot of times there are tons and tons and tons of ingredients added into that bread, enriching it with nutrients and color, carameling, and additives and all these things. You always want to make sure what other ingredients are in our food, because maybe it's not the wheat that you have a problem with, but maybe your body is having a reaction to all the other chemicals that are in that food item also.
Well, bread's a big thing because a lot of people make sandwiches for the kids and those kind of things. What is there breads that you can consider that might be a good bread?
Yeah, 100% whole wheat is what you want to look for.
Yeah.
Not multigrain, because multigrain just means you have multiple grains. It could be multiple grains of white flour. So you want 100% whole wheat. Organic is always going to be the best bet, because then you're avoiding all of those, chemicals in, that would be it if it's not organic. So 100% whole wheat, organic is really going to be the best option.
Do you ever endorse brands? Are there brands that you would recommend over others?
Yeah, I love Dave's Killer Bread.
Yes!
That's my favorite.
Dave, I had to bring it out. Dave's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to say Dave's Killer Bread, and she says, no, that's not good. So she brought it out without me.
It's really the only one I buy.
Yes. Healthy grocery girl loves Dave's Killer Bread.
I do. Yeah.
Awesome. And what is it about the bread, besides the taste, we love the taste, but what is it health-wise that you think is really good compared to most breads?
I think once you start eating Dave's Killer Bread and then you go back to eating other breads, you notice a difference, just like in the texture, and you can just taste. But, again, with Dave, there's no artificial ingredients. His saying is kind of like, no bread, not on drugs, or something like that. Then no drugs in the sense of no chemicals and artificial ingredients. And you can taste that. Like, if you start eating healthier, your taste buds change and develop, and you recognize, real food. It tastes really different than a lot of mainstream processed food and things like that. So I love his bread because, again, it's real food.
Yeah. And you know what I noticed too, when you eat bread that's real food, it digests better. You don't feel as, I don't even know how you describe it, but you feel like it's fulfilled you, but not like stuffed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What is that? Just because it's breaking down better?
Yeah, it also comes down to chemicals and things like that. So when we eat something and, metabolize it, digest it, our body is going to then, utilize those nutrients for good. So they're going to go off into your body and do all the things that they're designed to do. But if you put things in your body that your body doesn't recognize as food, it usually elicits like an immune response. It's a foreign substance to your body. Your body doesn't know what to do with it. So often it can slow digestion. You feel like you just have like a rock in your stomach. But, long term, that can lead to a lot of health problems. But short term, sometimes it's really hard to pinpoint if I'm feeling fatigued chronically, or if I have my skin's breaking out, or I'm, have a hard time focusing on things or making decisions, or weight, or there's all these other kind of just loose symptoms that a lot of people kind of always have, that, a lot of times can be associated to what are you eating.
Yeah. Megan, what about, when you eat healthy, you get the right foods, but what about the other things that you might want to take in your nutrition, like vitamins or enzymes, those kind of things? Are those something to really have to consider, or and how much? And because that's a huge industry, billion-dollar industry.
Yes, that's a really good question. And one of the things when I do healthy kitchen makeovers is going through the medicine cabinets. You'd be surprised how many people have expired medications they don't even remember what it was for. And a lot of times people are really shocked to see what else is in their supplements or medications. So really common to see artificial sweeteners and soy and food dyes and things like that just are added chemicals into a supplement that you may be taking. So that's just kind of one thing there. But depending on where you live, depending on what your health status is, everybody's need for maybe certain supplements will be different. For example, if you live in the Northwest like we do, it's probably a good idea to take a vitamin D supplement because it's really hard to get vitamin D from food, and our best source is from sunlight, but we only get sunlight for a couple months out of the year.
Except this summer we get quite a bit in spring.
Yeah. But so vitamin D may be good for, someone that's, doesn't get a lot of sunlight and things like that. Probiotics can be good. It increases the good gut bacteria in your gut, so that helps with digestion and your immune system and things like that. So, that is something when I sit down with people, go through and really customize what's important for them based off of where they're currently with their health and where their, health goals are.
Yeah. Well, we've talked a lot about where you're going because, I'm a fan already, a big fan. That's why I have you here. But talk about some of the things you're looking at going in the future. And we'll talk about your book in here in a second. But what about some of the corporate stuff? So you can go individually do this. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about at some point you're going to be seeing online training that you'll do. You have your videos. Mm-hmm. But what about your stuff what you can bring to corporations? So there's businesses out there that are looking for ways to optimize their employees' health so they can perform better and actually have a good family life and all that. They want to give back to their employees. What can you do for a company that may want to bring you in to help them?
Absolutely. So it's really on the needs of the company, as small as having me come in to do one workshop or 6. And sometimes just kind of putting your toes in, and sometimes I'm hired to come in around the holiday time and talk about how to, avoid the bulge around the holiday season and things like that, or even talking about stress and what foods you need to eat, more of if you're in, times of stress and all that kind of stuff. But then even to, that's kind of a simple start, but to the other side is putting together wellness programs for companies, and that's, going to be more intensive, but that's me building a relationship with that company for a long period of time and implementing kind of that full circle of what all the different elements of what's really important for health, nutrition, fitness, behavior change and things like that.
Well, let's talk about stress because that's a big one for today's society, and we're fast-paced. We're on. I don't even know where my phone is, but normally my phone's with me and I'm checking things. We're all wired for fast-paced stuff.
Yes.
And stress. And so what are the foods and that would lend to helping somebody reduce stress, or foods that might increase stress? Good
question. So when we're really stressed, couple just things. I mean, there's a lot of different stuff, but I'll just give you 2. Stress is really catabolic on your body, so you need more protein during times of stress. And your adrenal glands, which put out adrenaline, when you're stressed, like our body's equipped to handle short-term stress. So if a bear just jumped in this room, we would want our adrenal glands to put out adrenaline so we could book it out of here.
The fight or flight, right?
Exactly. But distress or chronic stress, if your adrenal glands are constantly pumping out adrenaline all the time, all day long, that's where you're going to have health problems because that's not a natural state to be in. And when your adrenal glands are, working that hard, they can become depleted. One of the vitamins that can become depleted is pantothenic acid, which is B5. And so, taking more B vitamins, things like that, are things that you want to increase during times of stress. More water, obviously getting rest. These are non-nutritional things, but being outside, exercising, those are all good for you. But foods that can stress you out are going to be, like I said, more of those chemicals and foreign substances and that we maybe be in our foods that we consume that provide no nutritional benefit to our body. Because if we consume a chemical that we can't use for any health benefit, whether it's high fructose corn syrup or trans fats, again, like I said, that causes an immune response in our body. We don't want that there. We don't know what to do with it. If our immune system has that response, that's stress on our body. Inflammation in our body is stress. And stress really leads to a lot of health problems and degenerative disease.
And there's this, and I don't know if our body produces it, but this thing called cortisol, is that come from the overacting adrenal glands?
It doesn't come from the adrenal glands specifically, but cortisol is a hormone that can be elevated during times of stress as well. And sometimes there's correlation to, weight resistance and weight problems related to, higher cortisol levels.
So I have a doctor friend who was trying to treat obesity, and they said you can't treat obesity. But that was the real problem, which was causing the diabetes and all these other issues he could treat. Mm-hmm. But if he could help treat the obesity, a lot of these problems would go away.
Absolutely.
How do you handle that? I mean, obviously nutrition is a huge part of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, even just reducing your weight by 5 to 10% can really reduce your risk of a lot of diseases and a lot of problems that you have, other symptoms that may come up and problems from being overweight, such as being at a higher risk for diabetes or hypertension or cardiovascular disease. So you can definitely go at it. There's multiple approaches, and you can go from a medical side and holistic side, and everybody has an opinion, right?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, definitely, being healthy can be a very simple thing, but it also can be convoluted to be a very complex and confusing thing. There's so much information out there, and that's what really I think gets us into trouble, because there's so much information and it can be confusing. But you can treat obesity. You can lose weight, and you can there's definite ways that you can do that through diet and exercise, and again behavior change. But the biggest thing to take away is it's not an overnight fix. There's no quick fix. There's no pill, magic, anything that's going to help someone lose weight. It usually takes years, and it's a lifestyle change. And that's really, change is hard. But that's what people really have to understand and commit to really make those big changes. If they have huge health goals in front of them, it's going to take a long time. You have to be patient and do what's realistic for your body, and not try to fad diet or, buy a bunch of crazy supplements or pills or do all these different, diet of the month. Just good exercise, good food.
It's the way to go.
It's the basics.
There's no magic pill, but there is the healthy grocery girl that can help you get that edge, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about this book. You're an entertainer in the sense of you broadcast yourself. You're fun. You're engaging. But you know your stuff, and you're a writer. So tell us about this book. How far are we from seeing this book?
The book is going to come out this December, and the book is called Superfoods for Life, Coconut. And so it's all about coconut, which can sometimes be a food that's misunderstood. But coconut is just wonderful. There's so many great health benefits to it. So the book really goes into talking more about the health benefits of coconut, and then 75 of my recipes that are associated around coconut. So. Yeah. Coconut
recipes. Yeah. My wife's gonna love it.
Get ready for a lot of coconut.
She loves coconut. I don't mind coconut actually. I'm getting to acquire it, but so coconut. Mm-hmm. So when in December we're gonna have you back to talk about coconuts. Maybe we'll bring some coconuts. Can we crack some and we'll do some recipes.
Yeah.
We'll find a kitchen to film. We got a kitchen next door. We'll do a film. But Megan, this has been great. I've really enjoyed our first time together, and this is just the first time. And you guys, all the information you can see about Megan is on the site here. We'll put it on there for you. Megan, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for being with us on the Converging Zone, and we'll see you again soon.